Okay, we are now live on the Mama White Snake live chat, but I'm
Hi.
wondering whether we can maybe you wait a little bit more for the audience to trickle in, yeah, to slither in.
Can you see how many
Bit by bit.
audience members there are?
Yes, there's actually a little counter up there where I can
Okay.
track, yeah, how many people are turning up.
Okay.
Um, as you would know, there are many online things happening these days.
Yeah.
So it's quite competitive out there in terms of like what people are gonna view, who they're gonna spend their Thursday
Time
evenings
with.
with. That's right, absolutely, yeah.
We've
But
we've had 50,000 views now. That's pretty amazing.
yes, for the YouTube video, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
How
great.
did we do for Monkey Goes West?
Um, I think yeah, Market Goes West. I think because it was running for longer, I think maybe 80,000. Altogether,
Mm.
yeah, 80 to
Wow.
90,000. Yeah. Okay, I can see the audiences coming in, and we've actually already reached 105.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hi,
Okay, and I
everyone.
think I can probably start right now. So I'll just start by welcoming everyone. Thank you so much for wanting to share your evening with us, the cast as well as the creative team of the play Madam Mama White Snake, not Madam Mama White Snake. And I just want to say, as you would know, a lot of the other companies and arts groups, we have been very affected by the current COVID-19 situation. And it would really help if you could lend some kind of support, donation, etc. And I know it's a hard time for everyone, and you should also know that actually no amount is ever too small. A little can actually go a long way in keeping us afloat. Yeah. At the same time, I hope that our online offerings, so this is our fourth already from Wild Rise. We started with Emily Emerald Hill, it is supervision by Thomas Lim, and then two pantomime musicals which are written by yours truly, me, which are Monkey Goes West as well as Mama White Snake. We hope that by broadcasting them into your living room and your laptops at home, they have given you much cheer and consolation during your period of isolation. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to introduce tonight's guests. So tonight, the program will be in two parts. Okay, I know probably some of you are wondering like, where are the stars of the show? That's probably why you turned up. But we they're backstage putting on makeup. No, no, actually, we're saving them a little for later. Okay, but in a production, everyone is important. And I thought we'd start with the few that you see here today. But rest assured, I promise you, Ivan Heng and Glen Goei are gonna appear on your screens soon enough. Yeah, but before them, I'm gonna introduce these few on the screen. So let's start with the director of the show, Pam Oei.
Hi, everyone. I'm Pam Oei, and as Alfian said, I directed Mama White Snake. It was quite a task. It was a huge show to put up, but I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pam. Yay. And the next one I will pull up is Siti Khalijah.
Hi everyone, Selamat Hari Raya. My name is Siti K and I played Master Fahai in Mama White Snake.
Thank you so much for that, Siti. And I think you got the tone perfect for that one. I know that's
Okay, I'm glad.
I think so. I anyhow say I'm Malay, you Malay. I don't know whether we know.
Fahai.
Fahai.
Oh, no,
Okay,
no, guys,
Fahai.
you're swearing in Cantonese now. Stop.
Oh
I
dear.
don't know.
Okay.
Sorry lah.
And then another guest is the set designer Wong Chee Wai.
Hi everyone, I'm Chee Wai, the set designer for Mama White Snake.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Chee Wai. As you would notice, Chee Wai has got this really lovely textured background. He practically set designed his room for this little live chat. So once the set designer, always a set designer. Okay, so maybe we'll start our little presentation with what we always do, which is a slideshow,
Okay.
where we show some images to talk about some of the inspirations and influences for the play. Yeah. So let's get that rolling. Mama White Snake live chat. Okay, come, let's see the first slide. So, as the writer of this pantomime musical, I'll try to explain a little bit about why I chose this story. Yeah, and the attraction of this story to me as a writer. The Mama pula, the Madam White Snake legend is, of course, as you know, one of the famous folk tales from China. And those would include, say, the butterfly lovers, as well as the cowherd and the weaving maid. I almost feel like these folk tales should really be part of world literature. That everyone should know them. And as you can see, it's been so inspiring and influential to people that people have created works of art. So on the left side, you see an embroidery. Yeah, you see the two snake ladies on the right there, and on the right side you have a woodblock print. Yeah, of the story of Mama, not Mama, Madam White Snake. Yeah, and another attraction to me is that this is a story that has evolved over time. So initially, White Snake as a demoness, right, was an evil character because she wanted to trick this human into marrying her. So people were siding with the monk who wanted to destroy her. But what's so interesting to me was that over time, this horror story evolved into this beautiful romantic fable. And suddenly, as the reader, as the audience, you find yourself actually rooting for the non-human. And I think this is what I love about it, that there's this interesting subversion, right? The monk that you expect to be the good character is actually quite nasty, whereas the snake is sort of like the heroine of the story itself. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so one of my favorite places in Singapore, as you would know after I did Monkey Goes West, Haw Villa, and as you can see, two dioramas of two different episodes from the story. One at a broken bridge where they first meet Shu Xian, and another one at the battle scene where they fight against the monk Fa Hai. Okay, next image. And of course, this story has inspired many, many films. These are really classic films. Okay, so we go backwards in time. We have Green Snake there in 1993, and then Love of the White Snake in 1978, and then Madam White Snake in 1962. The 62 one was done in the form of Huang Mei opera and was produced by the Shaw Brothers. Okay, so quiz time. Some of the most beautiful women in Chinese cinema have played the role of Madam White Snake. Okay, who are they? In the movie Green Snake, who's that?
Are you quizzing us?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, I thought you were quizzing the audience.
No, it's the three of you.
Sure, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I never actually studied this topic.
The Malay girl is excused. The Malay girl is excused.
Thanks.
Is that Maggie Chung?
Yes, the Green Snake is Maggie Cheung.
Yeah.
Yeah, but who plays the White Snake?
Cherie.
Joey Wong.
Joey Wong, that's right.
Ah.
The Taiwanese actress Joey Wong Joey. Okay, great. What about the one at the top right, Love of the White Snake? Who plays White Snake?
White Snake is the one on the left, right?
On the left side, yeah.
That's Lin Qingxia.
Excellent. Okay.
Jen, jen, jen.
And then in the bottom right, so White Snake is the one holding the red handkerchief. Who's that?
Saloma.
Wrong channel. It's on channel 8.
Go.
Ming?
Sorry?
Yo Ming, I think. I'm not sure, but could be Yo Ming.
Of course. Her initials are LD.
Wow. Lin Tai.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
That's right.
Wow.
So
I surprised
Ling Qingxia,
myself.
they are the most beautiful, and I think Ivan Heng is a worthy successor to all these white snakes. Yes. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, so as you would know as well, because we use some of these idioms inside the pantomime musical, it has also influenced some of the most enduring stories in Chinese opera. Yeah, and what's interesting is that there's always a costume change for this particular character in Chinese opera. So there's one where she's in her gown, of course, and she's got all this very elegant ladylike moves, and then there's one where she goes into a martial arts attire. And then she executes all these martial arts acrobatic stuff. Okay, great. Next image. So now I want to have a little chat with the director of Mama Whitesnake, who is Pam Oei. And
Hi.
Pam, yes, I've pulled out the three pantomimes that you have directed for Wild Rice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And beginning with our collaboration, our very delicious Hansel and Gretel, which is
Yeah.
done in 2012.
2012. That's right.
2012, yes. And then after that, there was Empress New Clothes in 2015
Yeah.
and Mama White in 2017, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's right.
yeah. So one thing I realized, Pam, is that they're all sibling stories. Could you tell us a bit
Yeah.
about that?
This is really quite coincidental. I did
Right.
not plan this at all. But the
Mm,
first one I remember,
yeah,
when I was discussing, when Ivan said, "Why don't you direct something?" And Ivan has this thing with me where he always
yeah,
pushes my limits and pushes me off the cliff. And I said, I don't want. And then he's like, "No, no, I think you can do it." I said, Panto, it's such a big show. And he was like, "Can, can,
yeah.
can, can." So I think my request was that I didn't want to do a romantic fairy tale,
Right.
and I suggested Hansel and Gretel because it's a brother and sister story, and
Mm,
I just didn't want to do this Disney thing where there's a princess who needs help, and then
right.
the prince comes along and saves her. So
Mm,
yeah, that's what I suggested, and then of course you gave us this beautiful a script, and Siti came on board. I
yeah.
mean, Siti's been in so many pantos. We're going to
Oh,
touch on
yeah.
that later. Yeah, and then when it came to Emperor's New Clothes,
Mm,
I think I wanted to push myself a little bit further, and I wanted to get actors who could also play musical instruments on stage as well as sing and dance. So
right.
quadruple threats, right?
Right. Yes.
And I thought that the tailor in Emperor's New Clothes, it would be fun if it was a pair of a duo, as opposed to just one.
Right.
So actually, I was really gunning for four tailors,
Oh
like
wow.
Chinese, Malay, Indian, others. I was really
Oh
gunning for
wow.
that. And Ivan was like, "No, no, no, no." And three, three, please, three. Then he was like, "No." So anyway, in the end, we
Wow.
settled at two. So it was nice that we got two of the biggest pop stars in Singapore to play the tailors,
Right.
Cesare and Benjamin King.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were adopted from an orphanage, and they are brothers from another mother. That was
Right.
also quite accidental. And then
Yeah.
when Ivan approached me to direct Mama Whitesnake, my
Mm-hmm.
immediate reaction was no.
Why?
You mean Glen is
Is it no
Mama
back to him?
Whitesnake and you are green? No way. Suicide. There is no way I'm doing this. No. Um,
Okay.
and
Why?
no, think about
Yeah.
it. Glen Gray and Ivan Heng on stage, and I have to direct them. Oh my goodness, seriously. It's like, no. So,
Okay. Could you
then,
elaborate a little bit though for people who don't know, like,
okay,
yeah,
so
they are
Ivan, Glenn, and I are
how
old
larger than
friends.
life they are.
Yeah,
Okay.
we
Right.
are we're dear friends. We've been friends for decades, and
Mm,
and as you know, Glenn and Ivan are two of the biggest theater directors in Singapore,
right.
and they
Right.
have done
Right.
very, very prolific work. So
Right.
to be asked to direct two of my very, very good friends
Yeah.
in this epic musical where
Right.
they are both playing the leads, I'm
Yeah.
like, no, this is suicide. I don't think so. But Ivan kept on pursuing
Mm-hmm.
me. And he says,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't do it, then who's going to do it? I said, y'all direct yourself lah. Y'all just stand around. Y'all
Direct each
can
other,
do
right? I mean,
it.
they're both
Yeah, just
directors
direct each other.
anyway. Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, of course, you need a third eye, and in the end, I said yes. And I
Right.
think it was every inch as difficult as I envisaged it to be.
Mm.
But it was very, very worth it in the end because I was so proud of them. I mean, the
Mm.
amount of stuff that they have to do, they have to
Yeah.
multitask and oh my goodness. And at the age,
Yeah. Cannot reveal the ladies' ages. Can we look at the next image then? Since you're gonna start talking about the process. So I think we see you in snapshots of you in three different phases of the production. There you are in the first one doing the photo shoot with
yeah,
them.
during the photo shoot. Yeah,
Yeah.
I that was my 剃头刀
Ah,
posture
right.
and pose, yeah. And then so we were there at the photo shoot, which was very. I remember it was amazing photo shoot. The photographs that came out of that
Yeah.
shoot was amazing.
Yeah.
Because of the amazing photographer Mark Law and because of the amazing costumes as well, of course.
Right.
And makeup and hair. But the middle picture is me with
Yeah.
all the kids, and
Yep.
I fought very hard. I fought very, very hard to have one cast in this musical because usually
Right.
in Pantos there's cast A, cast B.
That's right.
And I looked ahead and I thought about the amount of wushu and opera and dancing and singing that we had to do. There
Yeah.
was no way in hell that I was going to have two casts. And I had to talk to Ivan about this. And Ivan was very, very reluctant because when you have two casts, you give more kids opportunities to be in the
Right.
show. But I look at the wushu and I'm like, wow. So I actually, we resisted each other for a long time on this. But finally, we agreed to have a bigger kids cast with 22 kids, but just
Right.
one cast. And if you look carefully, I'm actually in that photo.
You are.
I
Yes.
am in
It's
that
kind
kid
of like
photo. It's just very hard to spot
playing
me.
Where's Wally kind of thing, but where's Pammy?
Spot the Pam, spot the Pam.
Yeah, because actually, a lot of them are taller than me.
I see. That's why you blend in very well with
Yes.
that. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
I see you. I see you with your cat's eye glasses.
Yes,
That's the
yes, yes.
giveaway. Yeah.
Yep. That's
Um.
it.
Okay. So actually, Pam, maybe I will just take one question. I mean, usually we do Q&A at the end, but I feel like I don't want to miss this later on.
Yeah.
So, oh, sorry. Not this one. There's a question for you, Pam.
Yep.
So, did you manage to do any directing in the end, or did all three of you direct each other here and there? How to direct two of the biggest, I suppose, directors? Yes.
Okay. It was a challenge, but I when I finally agreed to do it, I mean, I knew what I was in for, and also because the two of them are so much more experienced than I am. There were many times when their comments or their suggestions were, of course, very well placed and made a lot of sense and made things flow easier. You know what I mean? So I think that there were three pairs of eyes looking, but I was always the outside one. Of course, when you are on stage doing stuff, they can't be seeing what I'm seeing, right? So I have to be the extra pair of eyes. But I think there were situations where we resisted, we argued, we fought, we had a lot of discussion about when to do what and everything. But I think
it's just another day at rehearsals.
Yeah, but I think what's great about Glen, Ivan, and myself is that we're such great friends. So even if we have an argument or a very heated discussion about something, it's never personal. It's always about the work. And it never affects our friendship outside of the rehearsal room. So we can fight, we can shot each other. We can, no, I don't think that is, I disagree with you. You can't see it, I can, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's always about the work. And we never take this outside of the rehearsal room.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, I mean, I believe in that. I think after attending many rehearsals over the years, I always feel like one big part of theater is all this creative conflict, right? Yeah. And you know how to trash out your ideas and all that, but at the end of the day, you're still friends. And in fact, maybe you become better friends because you're able to like voice these things out very truthfully to one another. Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I just want to quickly say that, sometimes when Alfian writes, a big battle ensues. It's one sentence. This will take place over 1 week where we are trying to choreograph a big battle ensues. It will take 1 week to do it. Thank you very much, Alfian Sa'at.
Thank you. Yeah, I love those. Yeah, those lines. There's a lot packed into them. Yeah, very condensed. Okay, so thank you so much for that, Pam. We'll get back to you as questions come in for you and your direction. Okay, so let's move on to the next image, where I think what we have here is a mini retrospective on Siti Khalijah's pantomime career, right? Yeah, Siti?
Yes.
And maybe if you can talk us through a little bit. I think people have seen you for our online shows and Monkey Goes West as well, Mama White Snake. But could you tell us a little bit about your journey through Walrus Pantomimes?
My very first
Yes.
pantomime was actually in 2010 with Wild
Mm-hmm.
Rice, and that was their second staging of Cinderella, where
Right.
I played the character of Mercy Relief, and it was done at the Esplanade. It was
Yeah.
a very special production for me because it was my I get to perform it at the Esplanade for the very first time, and
Mm-hmm.
the production value for that show was extremely high. I get to fly on stage. It was
Right.
really magical, and I also got to perform with the late Emma Yong. And
Right.
it was my first time also performing in this massive production, and there's so many children involved. It
Yeah.
was quite a nice thing for me to end the year with, because usually throughout the year you do different types of shows. But I always thought ending the year with a pantomime is a really lovely way to
Mm,
end my year with. So it's always
mm,
something that I
mm,
look
mm,
forward
mm.
to. Mm.
Right. 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 Yeah. And so that character was Mercy Relief in
Yes.
2010, right? Then after that,
Mm.
what was your next one with
That
the
after that I
panto?
skipped 2011, and then after
Okay.
that I did 2012 Hansel and Gretel, where I played Nicki Mina.
That is the girl in the
Yeah.
center, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, with all the cooking stuff on
Yeah.
the dress. Yeah.
Yeah.
How was playing that character?
That was extremely fun. Fun
Mm.
fact, actually, for
Mm-hmm.
that, remember, I wasn't supposed to be Nicki Mina. It was actually I was supposed to play a cat, and
Oh
I was
yeah,
supposed to be the assistant of the Wicked Witch, played by Sebastian Tan.
that's
So we
right.
like duo lah. I'm like everything she asked me to do. I like the right hand man.
Yeah,
So from the cat, they photo shoot all already. And then they said, "Scribe it, scribe. We think we have a better character for you. Let's let
that's
you
me,
do."
right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Nicki
Mm,
Mina, and I'm so glad because I had so much fun with her. And I also think it was
yeah.
the very first time, is it, that so-called Mina character was being introduced to a pantomime? Am
I
I right?
think so. I think so. And
Mm.
and you did it so well because she's basically a combination of Minaj, who's the rapper, and this very ghetto Mina, right? So yeah, and who was very loudmouth and she swore a little bit. I remember my mom watched it, and then she sat beside me, and every time Nicki Minaj said something like ends a sentence with "Seoul," right? My mother will
Yes.
pinch me. She will pinch me on my thigh, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, why?"
And then the kids at backstage also started picking it up. And I'm
Oh
just thinking,
no,
what is your? And I'm like, hey, go stand by. Your turn to go on stage.
right?
I'll go and
Yes,
explain.
we were quite naughty. Okay. There's an audience asking where is Mama White Snake and her sister. Okay, just to inform you for those who are just joining us, they will join us in a while. They are in Ame Mountain right now, meditating, putting on makeup and
Ah,
all that. But they will join us in a while. Don't worry. Okay,
correct. They
City,
still
let's
collecting
move.
medicine. Ah.
That's right. Yes, moving quickly. Tell us a little bit about the goose up there.
Okay, that was
Mm,
for Jack and the Bean Sprout. Also,
okay,
the second staging of that pantomime. I can't
right.
remember what year was that. Probably 2013. And I
Okay.
played Goose Mangat.
Yes.
My other friend was the Golden Harp, which was played by Karen Tan. So
Right.
Goose Mangat, she lays golden eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very cute. As you can see, I got a huge goose head on me. And that
That's,
costume is
yep.
so huge, they can
Yep.
put like, I think, 10 golden eggs, which I have to lay every night. And then every night I'm like, please like come out, golden egg, please like come out. Because sometimes I pull the string and the egg never come out, then I have to improvise. That's the beauty of Panto, guys. Audience interaction and improvising on the spot.
Right. No, I mean uh just a comment from someone who says, City, I love how you always take every opportunity when you try to engage the audience with your wittiness. Yeah,
Thank
so
you
we're
very
just
much.
talking about improvisations. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Okay, City, maybe just very quickly, those two characters, the one in green and blue.
Okay.
Yeah,
The one in green was from a Singapore Carol, which was just done in 2018. And I
yeah,
played one of like the activists who was being greatly like hated by the character of Sebastian Tan, who played like the Scrooge. Right, he
right.
was
Yeah,
like
Christmas
the
Carol.
Grinch. Yeah, he hated Christmas, and we're like there, and like we're basically annoying the hell out of him. But we are good people. And then
Right.
the other one, bottom right,
Yes.
I played
Yep.
one of the ministers in Empress New Clothes. Yeah, so throughout my years in pantomime,
Okay.
I've played the good, the bad, and the
Yeah.
ugly all.
Which one is the ugly? I see the
Hey,
good and bad one. Which is the ugly
you tell
one?
me Fahai handsome or not? You tell me Sandy handsome or not? Ugly, right?
Not bad lah. Madam
But
Yao would think he's handsome lah. Yeah.
lucky last year Captain Hook quite handsome, so okay. Even though he's a baddie, he good looking. Okay, can set.
Okay, let's move on. I mean, I didn't write most of this, so quickly, let's just move on to the ones that I wrote. Next slide. Okay, yes, here we go. The most recent one that you did is the left side one, which is
Yep.
Captain Hook. Yes,
Mm.
tell us a bit about that.
Okay, I think the fun thing about being in Panto is also the fact that with every Panto it's very different, right? The storyline,
Right,
and as an
right.
actor, it's really exciting because you get to pick up new skills. Like for example,
Yes.
with Mama White Snake,
Yep.
which is what we're talking about right now.
Mm-hmm.
I get to learn wushu. In Emperor's New Clothes, we learn musical instruments.
Yeah.
With Captain Hook, I learn how to
Yes.
act with only one hand because the other hand I cannot use. Like a hook, right? How do I do
That's a very
choreography?
specialized skill. I'm not
Yeah,
sure many other roles have that, but yeah, that's
and,
fantastic.
and fighting with the hook, things like that. Like, it's always very exciting. Every year got challenge one.
Right. Siti, you seem to have a lot of fans tonight who are like, yeah, throwing all these
Hello,
virtual
hi.
bouquets at you. Yeah. Okay,
Real
so
one also.
yes. Okay, tell us a little bit about your characters in Monkey Goes West.
If you ask me like many years ago, what would
Mm-mm.
if I ever imagined myself playing the role of Kuan Yima or Sandy, I would never think so. I never thought I'd be a villain, or
Yeah.
a Chinese ancient historical character like a folk tale. I would
Mm,
never thought that.
mm,
So it's really
yeah.
quite amazing, and I think that's the beauty of theatre lah. You really can
Right.
play anything. Cross
Mm,
gender, cross anything. Like you want to be object also can. And I love these challenges, you know. I'm not
right.
defined by how I look or my gender, which I think is
Right.
amazing. Yeah.
Right. And I think the thing is about pantomime is that there is this atmosphere of everything is allowed, right?
Yes,
Like
yes.
males can play females, humans can play animals, all sorts, right? So I
Mm.
think a lot of boundary crossing and all that. Wow, did you just hear thunder?
Thunder pagoda.
Thunder pig, that's right. Yes, that's a wonderful segue into talking about Fahai.
Yes. Fahai. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and also for me, because that was like what a few years after Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, my challenge for that is to
Mm,
make those characters very different because they're both Chinese folk tales, right?
right.
Though Sandy is like a not a villain character, but Far High is. How do I
Mm-hmm.
differentiate these two manly characters from these two folklore? So that
Right.
was the challenge for me in Mama White Snake to make him differ, to make him villainous but yet lovable. Because you don't want the
Mm,
kids to be so afraid of him because he still
right.
delivers funny lines, which is thanks to you because you know it's so easy to hate the bad person, but you make him lovable as well, which I think is very it's really
Right.
wonderful writing.
Yeah, I noticed there was this interesting thing about Fahai for me is that he's evil, but then he's cute at the same time. So I didn't know how you managed to sort of like balance those two things. Like I hate him a little bit because he's such a villain, but there's a part of me which just wants to rub his botak head also at the same time.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, maybe just I'll pull out one comment. City, since you can play apparently anything and everything, an audience member would like to suggest that your next role, the biggest villain of our times, is. Do you see that?
Yes, the COVID
Yeah.
virus. Yes. I
Yes.
already got
How
my costume in mind.
right? Yes. And would you want to tell us a little bit about how you play this role?
Okay, so my costume
Yeah.
will be
Yes.
also by Cute Gallery. It will be like green and sparkly and round, and then pokey, which means you can't come near me, and I won't say any lines. I'll just cough and sneeze at you. Okay, and then my
Okay.
entire song will
Yeah.
be like that done. Everybody died. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Wow. Yes, we are all looking forward to that. Wow, you have so many. There you go. I think City is one of the best actresses in SG. Okay, moving on. Let's see our next image. And we'll talk now about the set design with Wong Chee Wai, our set designer who's worked on a lot of shows with Rice. Okay, up there you see two samples of his set design for Mama White Snake. Let's see the next slide. Okay, Chiwai, one of the environments you had to create in the play is that of the pharmacy. Yeah. So could you talk us through a little bit about some of the inspirations for that pharmacy?
Okay. For the pharmacy, basically what we did is we did quite a bit of research.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that normally Chinese or traditional Chinese pharmacy is always very dark
Right.
and
Right.
heavy wood and what's not. So
Yeah.
actually from onset when Pam and I discussed about the idea of it, we actually wanted it to be very modern in a way, as in very light and airy.
Yep.
So eventually, I think we decided to pick. Mama White Snake. We decided to pick white as a color.
Right. Okay.
Okay, actually, in this show, every location we kind of pick a key color to represent the place.
Ah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So Mount Ermey Pharmacy, you chose a pearly kind of white sheen, right?
Yes, the pearly
For
white
this,
sheen.
right?
Yes.
And I think that's an interesting choice. I think because you're choosing like pastels and light colors, there's a certain airiness to this set. Yeah. And also, I suppose, like in Chinese aesthetics, there's this thing about negative space, right?
Negative and positive space.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you like to tell us a bit about that? Because it seems like just by working with frames, you're able to create, illusions of like actual objects there.
Okay. In this space,
Yeah.
first of all, the stage is not that big, especially that this is one of the few panto that we have the most kids on stage in
Right.
a way.
Right.
And because of martial arts, we need a lot of free space, like they can move around.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. That's right. Fahai wants in on the action. Yep.
Okay, and so to create airiness, we actually have enlarged a lot of motifs like the medicine bottles. Instead of the
Yeah.
regular size, we blow up everything so that everything becomes big.
Yeah.
It becomes very iconic in a sense, and at the
Right.
same time, like the window lattice that we see in a lot of like Chinese houses.
Mm-hmm.
What we did was that we just chose the lattice itself without the wall, because in that case we could imagine the wall, we could see the exterior of the medical
Right.
hall. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also in a way the basically just suggests the window
Yeah.
how should I put it? Focal point, and then the rest is left for performance.
Right. Right. So I got one question actually. Chee Wai, you put so many vases in your set, and then there's so many children in the show. You're not scared, lah? You're not.
Okay, those vases in the first place are all styrofoam.
Oh, I
And-
see.
And basically it's not even a full size. It's only about, I think, if I remember correctly, it's only 1/3 of a size, and the perspective
Right.
had been pushed to look like it's a full medicine bottle on the shelves. And one tidbit is Alfian just happily wrote like things like, a pagoda flying from the top of the sky. And then there we have all the traffic jams up in the fry bar area. And we
Right,
actually kind of run out of space.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So actually, stage designers are also master illusionists, right? So I think the wonderful thing about actually being able to walk on stage is you suddenly realize all these things that look so beautiful in the front, right? You go to the back and it's another story, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see the next image. Okay, this is the other kind of environment in the play, which is the Golden Mountain Temple. Tell us a little bit about this.
Okay. For Golden Mountain,
Yeah.
in the reference photo, the first one on the left is actually Shaolin Temple. But
That's right.
but in this sense, a lot of martial arts monastery or whatever in China. I don't know why it is, but it always happens to be in some mountains,
Right.
or island among a lake and things like that. So basically the same thing. We take iconic images like
Yep.
gigantic drums, like initially we talk about the weapon rack as you see on the photo on your right.
Right. Yes.
Yes. But eventually we decided to use bamboo as in golden bamboo rather than
Oh,
than
and a
the
weapons rack.
yeah, the weapons rack. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Next image. And then these
the
are
Chinese
some of your.
furniture.
Right. Yes. Can you tell us a little bit more about those?
Okay, it's the same thing here. We also take just iconic furniture. So the lines that you see is more of a Ming style kind of furniture, which is the lines are much more cleaner.
Right.
And at the same time, it's also in a way slightly more modern. So what we did was actually every piece of either furniture or screens, it's all simple lines, but we just chose a carved piece as a
Right.
centerpiece for let's say on top of the bed, and then there was this screen that was actually pushing for like a mini wayang performance. It's the same
Right.
thing. In the center, there's
Yeah.
a carved piece, and of course there's the Chinese traditional performance of a table and two chairs.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So that's that's what I find really interesting. So in Chinese opera, sometimes the set can be just as basic as what they call one table, two chairs, right? And
Yes.
this thing can actually symbolize, for example, a mountain, can symbolize a stage, a wedding altar, and all that. Yeah, it's really multifunctional. So I love that you brought in a little piece of Chinese opera into your set design. Okay, let's look at the last slide for set. And there we go. Tell us tell us a little bit about this white flower that you
Okay.
use as a motif in your set
Okay.
design.
This is actually magnolia flowers.
Mhm.
Partly why we actually decided to pick this flower is in the first place, the whole story was written and set in Ermei Mountain.
Yeah.
And actually, Ermei Mountain in China is basically one of the places that that
Yes. Yeah.
that wild magnolia trees actually grow in the mountains.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
And yeah.
On Ermei Mountain, right? So it is a
Yes,
symbol
on
of
the mountain.
Ermei.
Yes, and
Okay.
also in Chinese symbolism,
Yeah.
magnolia flowers also have symbolized the strength and the loyalty of love, which is also basically
Right.
about what happens in this story as well.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So I love the fact that you have these magnolia flowers, and sometimes they're in the form of like a painting, sometimes they're in the form of a carving, and in this case, you actually so-called have real branches.
This is the real
that
branches. Yes.
Okay, that's really beautiful. Okay, so actually, all that thunder, right? I've been informed is actually green snake and white snake asking to be let in. Okay, they've been very impatient. They've been So they think now is the time for their debut. So let's bring them in. Hello, Auntie Green. Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Auntie Green. You're making a lot
Hey.
of noise just now, and we'll bring in Madam White. Hello, Madam White.
Hi.
Hi.
Sister.
And we will also bring in the fight choreographer, Gordon Choy.
Hi,
Okay.
sisters.
Hello.
Gordon.
Hello. Hi, I'm Gordon Choy.
From Gordon.
Okay.
From Gordon Mountain School.
Yeah, Gordon Modern School.
The
Yes.
Mountain School, that's right. Okay, so if we can talk a little. Okay, so let's start just by having a short conversation with Gordon.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's look at the image. We got an image where we have got pictures of you in rehearsals. Okay. Gordon Choy here, who is our fight choreographer. Or maybe you just do a little introduction of yourself.
Okay.
Gordon? Yeah.
I'm Gordon Choy. My role as a backstage creative team is the fight choreographer, the movement coach, and also the Chinese opera coach as well.
Okay.
Because I'm sharing my job with my dad, Choi Ying Chow. He helped to coach Ivan and Glen. The water sleeves part, the slow part, we so called the wen. Wen mean to say that not the fighting part, and I direct the fight part. And also I choreograph the wushu, and I'm also the cast. I'm multiple roles in the show. In the beginning as one of the peasants. After that, I'm the boatman.
Yes.
Then after that, the main role is the General Goei, tortoise general. Yeah. And in the very same scene, I fast change to the monk. So basically, I'm playing the Wu Jian Dao, I'm playing the bad and the good one, and just transforming each other at the same time. And
Hey,
so
Gordon,
I
I said short intro. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
I said short intro. Okay, so let's bring on Ivan.
Hey, hello.
Hi, Ivan.
Hello.
Yes, could you
Hi.
do a short introduction of yourself?
I play Auntie Green. I play everybody. Everybody has an Auntie Green. It's the
Yes.
auntie that basically tells your mother, "Ayah, never mind lah, don't be so strict lah. Let them play lah."
Oh dear.
That's
Okay.
me.
Right. Yes, that
Yeah,
that is true. That we
yeah,
do have Auntie
yeah.
Greens around. Okay, so we have just got news that actually Glenn's experienced a blackout in his house.
Ah,
Yes. So Madam White, Glen Goei has just experienced a blackout in his
I
house.
saw that. I saw that. Gosh.
Yes. So, I mean, this has happened to me before also, and technology, whatever. But he will sort of sort it out, work it out, and see whether he can come in. But in the meantime, we'll just continue. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got some images we can talk about. Yeah. Let's pull out one of the images of you, Gordon, doing fight choreography.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Yeah.
There you are, fight choreographer Gordon Choy. So
Yeah.
you told us a little bit in your introduction just now about your
Yes,
own
this part
background.
where in the third picture where I'm
Mm-hmm.
holding a spear, that's part
Yes.
is the part that I acted. I changed into the monks, one of the monks role. Yeah,
Right.
the
Okay.
fighting monk role, fighting against the two snakes. You see?
Right. Okay.
Mm.
Can we see the next slide?
Yep.
Okay. So these are all
The
so
one
many.
in blue,
Yep.
the one in blue leading the two sisters is my
Mhm.
dad, Mr. Choi Chow. Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
So tell us a little bit about your life in Chinese opera.
Pathetic. No. Okay, actually, I did
Great.
enjoy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. During our times, we have no social media. So my main childhood games is all practicing of wushu and opera every day.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So in the morning, my dad will use his leg to kick me up and
Right.
to practice wushu, be without brushing my teeth. Everything just go for warm up, and straight away
Mm,
go into kicks and flips, kick in flips. Yeah.
right.
So and handstands. So that is from the age of 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because my dad is the master of Chinese opera, which specializes in Cantonese opera in
Right.
Singapore.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So
So
I think a lot of like traditional arts training, it can be quite rigorous and strict, yeah, in terms of
yes,
the discipline and all that, yeah.
correct. Yeah.
Mm.
Main thing
So
is a discipline, correct. Yeah.
right, so all those things in kung fu movies where people like carry bucket and climb stairs and all that is quite real, is it?
It's quite real. He's actually he got the inspiration from those movie and landed it on his son.
I see. I
So
see.
yeah, so like
Right.
without any words, actions speak
Yeah.
louder than words. All the punishment is all caning. So he gives me all the work that I am today. Yeah,
Right.
and
Right.
all the
Right.
knowledges. Yeah, and
Yeah.
also importantly the discipline, because it's all about discipline. Seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
So someone's just commented here. Grace has says, "Gordon, I look up to you because I have been in wushu for 6 years."
Okay, thanks. I've
Mm,
been in Wushu national team as well since
right.
1985, 89. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So I think it's so wonderful that actually we have this father-son team who
Mm.
have been coaching the two
Yeah, until now,
actors.
we still acted as some shows in Monkey God.
Mhm.
He always plays the general warrior, and I'm always the Monkey God. So there's a
Right.
father and son teams are
So both of
roving
you
in the country. Yeah, correct.
perform together as well, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, correct,
Okay,
yes.
okay. Fantastic. Um, I think I've got
And
some question, okay,
yeah,
from audience. So Grace also is asking something from Ivan here. Yeah, Ivan. The question for you here is, when you were learning the wushu moves, was it hard? What do you think, Grace? But Ivan, take it away.
I think it was more Chinese opera than wushu.
Mhm.
I first trained in the Chinese opera when I formally.
Yeah.
I was always very curious about it. My mother, of course, was a fanatic at that time, and she always used to say that her grandmother used to make her, go and take the food from
Mm,
the opera stage, and she would eat the rice. And she says, "This is the reason why I gave birth to an actor."
right. Okay.
So, but
Okay.
yeah, I
I
was
see.
always very curious about it, and
Yeah.
I first started
Yeah.
and learned it with Chinese Theatre Circle in 1989 for a role called M. Butterfly.
Right.
in
Yes.
India, and then in Singapore, I studied here with Joanna Wong, who actually
Right.
came to the show, which was really beautiful for me. And
Mm.
then over the years, we used Chinese opera in Woman in a Tree on a Hill, which
Right.
was in
Right. Right.
Edinburgh, and I mean, I've always just loved it. So, and Gordon is a wonderful teacher, and
Mm.
when
Thank
you
you.
see me do all those kicks and all those spears, I think it made it so much easier that I was actually acting and performing these very dangerous, difficult stunts with my teacher.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
yeah, and
Yeah.
actually it's a big pressure for me lah.
Mhm.
Actually, yeah.
Pressure for
But
you is a pressure for me.
pressure or
No,
pleasure?
no.
Pleasure.
Actually,
Pleasure.
the pleasure for me is pressure.
Yeah, your R's, your L's. Okay. So
Yeah.
I just have a few comments. Okay, just pause a while. A
Mm.
Lim says, amazing Gordon, that hard childhood paid off. You're
Thank you so
amazing
much.
today. Yeah. Someone also says, thank you, Gordon. We couldn't have enjoyed this part of Chinese culture without your dad's discipline and your perseverance for the art.
Thank you.
Someone has a question regarding your training. Was Eye of the Tiger played a lot while training?
Hi, the tiger.
Yeah, this is a song. This is a music, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
The
yeah, yeah,
Eye
yeah.
of the Tiger. Was it for Rocky? Yeah, was it for Rocky?
I think it's yeah, Rocky. Correct.
Rocky, right? Yeah, yeah,
Played
yeah,
the
yeah.
tiger as Sylvester Stallone. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
It was
yes,
always
that's right.
a joke. Yeah.
Correct. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm just checking on Glenn's status at the moment, and it seems like he hasn't quite resolved the blackout issue at his
Still trapped
house.
in the pagoda mountain.
So I think it's possible Fahai has kidnapped him again and abducted him, but that's okay. We persevere. Okay, let's look at the next slide.
Oh, this
And I would now like
is
to address. In the beginning, I talked a little bit about why I was so attracted to the Mama Whitesnake story, right? And one of it is this moral ambiguity where you have a monk baddie and then you have a demoness who's a goodie. But I have to also say that in the year 2013, which is a year of the snake, there was a Chinese New Year party, and Glen, Goei, and Ivan Heng decided to dress up as Green Snake and White Snake. And obviously they thought they they look like both Maggie Cheung and Joey Wong in the movie Green Snake. Yeah, that I showed in an earlier slide. The resemblance is uncanny, Ivan. I cannot tell
Maggie.
you apart, right? I cannot. I mean, this is in the mood for drag. Really. Yeah. So I must say, I remember like you showed me this picture and then you said nice or not. What did I say? Nice. And I think that sort of like planted a seed in me, which is like, okay, you know what? This is gonna be a play lah. This is And I had no idea it was gonna be a pantomime, but
Morally ambiguous lah. That's us.
yes, morally
No, but
ambiguous.
Alfian, I want to say that you haven't been able to talk so much. Oh, hi, Glen.
Oh,
Yes.
that's
Yes, I want to say, okay, we are welcoming Glen back. Wonderful, you managed to escape from the pagoda, Glen.
Yes.
Yes. All by yourself. You
got me for a while.
correct. We didn't even have to rescue you. You're power break now. Okay, Glen. As you can see, we're just talking about a very fateful Chinese New Year in the year 2013.
Yes.
Yeah, and this photo. But Ivan, you had something to say just now.
No, I just want to say that, I mean, Alfian, I think that it's, to your credit that, this panto is really all about values. It really is about, the every teenager wanting to kind of, explore the world and be curious about it. It's
Right.
about, not being just normal, but being special,
Right.
about,
Yeah.
and also kind of accepting people who are different from yourself.
Right.
And I really loved how you, turn this fable, into something that was that is very modern and very contemporary. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Ivan. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And also, I think when you mentioned values, one of the things I thought was also family values, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
there's this thing about this found family, which isn't your usual mother, father, and
Yes.
one son, one daughter, whatever an ideal family is
Yes.
assumed to be. But basically two women who are best friends, and then they
Yeah.
decide, okay, one of them has a baby, and they decide, okay, let's raise this child together.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And our in life we have our logical family, and
Exactly.
then
Yeah.
there's also the biological family.
Right.
And we
Yes.
should
Yeah.
be so lucky if our biological family is our logical family. But sometimes
Absolutely.
they are
Yeah.
very different. And
Yes.
our family, so-called logical family, are just relatives. They're not,
Mm,
yeah,
mm.
But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, that's wonderful, Ivan. And I think that really ties in with what's happening right now for who are the people that we are allowed or permitted to visit these days, right? In terms of what's happening during circuit breaker, and you have to be biologically related. But actually, so many people they have found families, right? Their
yeah,
families are not people they're biologically related with. The people who are most important in their lives are, let's say, their own friends. So I think,
yeah.
we should really seriously reconsider what families would mean to those people.
I
Yeah.
mean, brought together because of Yuan Fen, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So I want to move to Glen. Hello, Glen.
Hi,
We're
Alfian. Hi.
so glad. We're so glad you could join us again. Ivan just now talked about learning Chinese opera for the play M Butterfly, where he played the character of
Yes.
Song Li Ling.
Mhm.
And interestingly, so did you. You played Song Li
Yes.
Ling in a London production with Anthony Hopkins.
Yes.
And could you tell us a little bit about learning Chinese opera for that role?
It was very, very difficult.
Okay.
I had
Yeah.
somebody, I had a Chinese opera master
Mhm.
who was from Beijing, and he
Right.
obviously studied in the 60s and 70s.
Mhm.
So he taught me. I had to learn it within a month.
Yeah.
And of course, there was a big sequence in the play,
Right.
which was not dissimilar to some of the sequences we did in the panto, where
Mhm.
I had to fight off some evil people,
Right.
and I had to learn the spears, and
Yeah.
all the different things that that was involved in the Chinese opera fight sequences. So that was really, really difficult because but I was much younger then. So
Right.
and I was 26 when
Right.
that happened. So when you're 26, you take on these things,
Yeah.
and
Your
you
life
think,
ending
why
goal.
not?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
now only 36, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still life ending goal.
35 is
Let
a
me walk
very
back.
good age to be. 35 is a very good age to be.
Okay, so maybe I have a question before we open up to a Q&A. And those of you who are listening, viewing at the moment, please come up with questions for
Maybe before
our
that,
cast.
may I
Yes,
ask
Gordon.
if there's a chance we're going to restage this show, will you
Mm-hmm.
two dare to take the challenge again for the whole training process again and to the
Who's
show?
going to restage the show?
I've asked this
You need to
to
recast.
Ivan, I haven't asked you Glenn yet. Yeah.
You need to recast. I'm too old.
We can do wheelchair. We can do anything in wheelchair.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, yeah. New frontiers there. Okay, maybe one last question for Ivan and Glenn. What have you ever shared the stage together as
No,
Never.
actors? No, huh? So
Never.
this
no.
play in
We've known each other for 44 years.
oh gosh, wow.
When we were
Yeah.
Ever since I was
Yeah.
in secondary 2 and Ivan was in secondary 1, we were in the same school.
Yeah.
We've known each other for 44 years, and we're both in the theater, but we've
Yeah.
never acted together.
Yeah.
But I think it's partly because either I'm directing, and usually I'm directing, and Ivan's in the play.
Yeah. Right.
There isn't room for two divas on stage usually.
Well,
You are the bigger diva, so you direct, Rob.
now I see what Pam meant. Yeah. When she said she was terrified of directing the both of you. So okay, let's put some of the actors and the director back on screen. Okay, we are done with the images, and I'd like to now take on a few of the questions that are coming in from some of our viewers and audience members. Yeah. Okay. Hello everyone. Who am I missing here? Siti. Okay. There we go. Sorry. There's Siti, and then where's Pam? There we go, Pam. Okay.
Somebody said Grandma White Snake.
I know, I saw that. I totally saw that. Where is that now?
Next one.
So naughty. I saw that. Right? Grandma White Snake. I mean, I don't know whether I'm gonna write that, but
I just want y'all to know that this show is the one that caused Ivan's knee replacement, I believe.
Perhaps, yeah. The kicking of the spears, yeah.
it was very intensely physical, huh?
Yeah, it was.
So because of space constraints on this particular platform, I can only put 6 people on board. I would love to put Chee Wai on, but I'm saying that if Chee Wai is our set designer, by the way, for those who just tuned in. For those of you who are watching this, if you've got any specific questions about a set, I will gladly bring on Chee Wai, okay? All right. So, Ivan, just now you said stage cannot have 2 divas, right? Who was this? Glen said that.
I did say cannot have 2 divas, but,
Yeah, but
it's not very normal to have 2 divas on stage.
there was this what's it? Yes. An audience member concurred and says one mountain cannot harbor 2 tigers. Yes. There we go. Okay. Questions coming in. We've got one from Kevin Buffman. Okay. I believe Kevin Buffman is based in Australia. So hello. Down
Hi,
there.
Kevin.
Hi, Kevin. Okay. His question is, were there negative implications in presenting gender-bending characters in Singapore? What inspired you to choose male actors to portray female lead characters? So who wants to take this? I mean, I can start a little bit, just to say that in a pantomime, we have this traditional role of what is known as a panto dame, and that's always played by a man, who cross-dresses. And I think the whole point of it is to show that theatricality involves, for example, dressing up, creating this illusion of being someone you are not in real life. So it's got aspects of the carnival, of the carnivalesque. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone wants to add in?
I think that is also part of the Chinese opera.
Yes. What do you call it? The Nantan, is it, Gordon?
The Hua Tan.
The Hua Tan, yeah.
Hua
But
Tan.
if the male cross dresses it, we call Nan Hua Tan. Nan Hua Tan, yeah, actually.
Right.
But I think the audience takes such delight in it. And also I don't think there was any kind of, I mean, this is the, we always say, Singapore is so, strict, but actually cross-dressing has been part of our theatrical, Singapore theatre for so long, part of our entire performance, vocabulary. That, so I don't think anyone batted an eyelid about that.
Right,
but I think that it kind of had a beautiful resonance, especially when we talked about, kind of why be normal when you can be special, and therefore there were these 2 drag queens on stage. I mean, we are precursor to RuPaul's Drag Race. Hello. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yes. Yep. Okay. Yeah, so I think Ivan, you probably answered that. In certain forms like wayang peranakan, in Chinese opera, a lot of Asian traditional forms, right? Even in Malay mak yong, there is cross-gender casting, female gender impersonation. In Japanese theater, right? Kabuki, you have the onagata. Glen,
the Peking opera also,
I was just going to say that. I mean, one of the joys of pantomimes, it comes at the end of the year. Everyone's been working so hard, and people look forward to the pantomime because the pantomime is actually about anarchy as well,
right?
Because anything goes, anything and everything goes, and especially in a very conservative country like Singapore, I think the audiences love coming to see our pantomime because it's so anarchic, in such a joyous way,
right?
And you think about the possibilities of what it could be.
Yeah. And it's very clear, actors like Siti and the both of you always look like you're having so much fun with it. Yeah. Pam, anything you might want to add about directing pantomime? Different from normal plays?
Yeah, I mean, there are this big factor of kids involved. There are many children involved in pantomimes, and that is a big factor. But for me, I always try to find the strengths in the different kids. I don't force every kid to do everything the same. Okay, you
Yeah.
can act, you go to the acting group, you wait there. You can
Yeah.
dance, you go to the dancing group, you wait there. Okay, you can do kung fu. Okay, so you're all, I mean, I like to draw on the strengths of each kid. And of course, everyone has to do a big massive number where then maybe if they're not comfortable dancing, they are forced to dance anyway. And then of course,
Right.
if you're not comfortable doing wushu, you're forced to do it in one scene anyway. So there's a little bit you're forced to do a bit of everything. But I do like to pick out on the kids' strengths and then delegate accordingly.
That's wonderful. I think from young they should learn both specialization and being
Because
generalist, right? Both, yeah.
our star wushu kid for Mama Whitesnake was a little boy called Lucas, and he was so
Yeah.
tiny, and
Yeah.
he is a wushu champion then,
Now
and he's a
he's in the national
wushu
team
champion
already,
now. Yeah, he's a national.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
National team.
and he was like 7 years old when he did the show.
Right.
So, but he shone in his wushu. Then you give him a dance step, right? Wow, his
Yeah.
face black. His face black. Like, I don't like this. What is this nonsense? Make me do 5, 6, 7, 8. I want to hear. No. And then, so he was very, very unhappy doing the dances. But in the end, he did it, and he had
Yeah.
fun in the end. But it really took a bit of coaxing for little Lucas to do some dancing. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I have to say that every year, every pantomime, there is always this one kid who is so tiny, but he or she will always steal the show,
Steal the
right?
show.
Yeah.
So whenever this kid comes out, I'm always in the audience and they're, I want to eat that one. I want to eat that one. And it's usually
Yeah.
like dressed like a
Yeah.
sotong lah or some
Yeah.
furry animal,
Yeah.
right, Siti?
You can say
Yeah.
the funniest lines, you can do the craziest of tricks, you can like sweat like xiao, and all that little thing I have to do is just walk across the stage and everybody won't even look at you. They just go,
Yeah.
and then the adult staff will be like, bye-bye, we don't care you.
Yeah, it's true.
They don't have to do anything. They just stand there and breathe and they steal the show.
Yeah.
I want to say that Pam's contribution to the Wild Rice Panto is the involvement of children.
Yeah.
Pam really has this passion, and it's beautiful because it started with Hansel and Gretel, where the kids started having they're not just set dressing, but they actually have lines. And then
Right.
Hansel and Gretel, the roles got bigger, and then the roles just kept getting bigger. And then with Mama Whitesnake, they had to do scenes, and it takes so much time.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
it takes the entire cast works around the kids, and Pam has I think this ability to really take them on a journey and also take the audience on a journey as far as this is concerned. And thank you, Pam, because I think that is your vision, and I thank you.
You're
for
welcome. I
Thank
actually
you.
secretly pay them with candy backstage.
There we go. No wonder the teeth are for our kids.
No wonder they are bouncing off the walls. My God.
Okay, I want to bring in some questions in the audience. Yeah, so we've got one from Vernon, who I think is in Malaysia. We've got all these viewers from all over the world. Vernon says, "So lovely to see the gruesome twosome together." Ivan and Glen. Question to Ivan and Glen: what is the other's biggest talent which you wish you had? Thou shalt not covet thy sister's talents. What is it? What do you wish?
Wish I played the piano.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I
What
don't
about
play
you?
the piano. I don't play the piano.
I wish I played it. You can play the piano. You learn the piano, Ivan.
Yeah.
I wish I could play the piano.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I look up to Glen very much. I look
Right,
up to Glen
right.
because he blazed the trail. I mean,
Right.
he's older than I am.
Let's
really,
not
I
go
mean,
down
I
this
mean-
path.
And in
Yeah.
Wild Rice, when Glen, basically, joined us in 2001, Glen said, "Oh, it can be bigger. You can, Ivan, and you're like, he's very bold. It's like, okay, Ivan, you have to play the Esplanade.
Right.
Okay, Emily must be at the Esplanade." I said, "What?" And he's like, "Come on, and he's very, very bold,
He's a
very
big vision
brave.
guy. He's
Like
definitely a
big,
big vision guy.
big. Like wow, okay.
Life is
I love
short.
it.
Life
I
is
think that both
short.
of you have big visions, which is why the both of you have been asked to do the National Day Parade. So, what bigger canvas can there be for people with big visions? Okay, Jasmine has a question for Glenn, which is just curious, Glenn. Is your spoken method similar to Mama White Snake?
Oh,
Though Alfian wrote the part for me. I mean, the dialogue was written in my voice. Yes. The answer is yes. Move on. Next question. It's very funny, though. It's very funny.
Yeah, yeah. This is one of those things, right? Because actually, as I was writing it, I was thinking, hey, actually, these like Madam White Snake, her name is Bai Su Chen, right? And Xiao Qing, they're both Chinese, leh. How come their Chinese is so bad? I was always very conscious that I was writing this play for two ACS boys who were more Anglo than Chinese. So,
I mean, I am pretty kentang myself, but I tell you, sometimes when they say their lines, I'm like, wow, Gordon, can you say
Your
for them?
Chinese is better than mine.
yeah. I mean, yes, I think City's Chinese is better than the
Yes, I was going to say that.
Sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
get to this as well. Huh?
Okay. So I got a question which I think has been covered a bit. Okay. This is, I suppose, a question about the show. Did any of the cast improv any lines during the play?
No.
What do you mean?
I mean, like,
No.
that's why you have a playwright, right? Because we try as best as we could to stick to the lines, even the songs. I mean, like, the only parts where we're allowed to improvise is when we have that segment where they say, like, interact with audience.
Right.
That one, then we full on improvise. And of course, that one also, every night it changes. And that's why it makes every show exciting and never the same.
Yeah.
Because you have to be on standby for anything that anybody will say, you know? They can just shout out the answer from, like, from circle one, that kind of thing.
Well, so I mean, for this show, for Mama White Snake, have there been any kinds of audience response that kind of caught you by surprise, or that yes?
For Mama White Snake, I remember there was one time as Fahai, I said something about like, you better be careful because if you throw the punch, then wait, you will end up looking like someone like that. Then I have to randomly point at an audience member who I pointed to, and then suddenly one night I just like randomly pointed to a member of the audience, and it was my friend, and he was damn upset. And that's why I had to like maintain, but actually in real life I just wanted to laugh because my friend was really damn upset. Well, thanks, you point to me, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, it's completely unintentional, right? You can't really see the audience. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there was there was a very interesting moment. Do you remember when Green Snake and the little mini Green Snakes were fighting Fahai, and they used their foot to kick?
Yeah.
And then we were told that Fahai, is a son, is a saint or a spirit, and therefore we're not supposed to be disrespectful.
Yeah.
You remember that moment? It was quite.
Well, I think it's Heng, the one who was playing the Chinese drum. Yeah, he said that. Yes, he said that because he's a god, his mother is a Buddha, so this is a bit of disrespect. Yeah. Something like that. That's why I changed the choreography to some other things. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Right. Okay, so usually we wrap up in an hour, but I think today, because we've got so many participants, we have 7 of you, and there's still Chee Wai who's behind backstage. I think we can indulge a little bit and go a little bit over time. No worries. Okay. There's an interesting question here, which is, you are like the pioneer generation for pantomime. What's your view on cultivating a new generation? Yes. So, which pioneer would like to take that question? Yeah.
Well, we started it because in 2003 with Cinderella, and because it's just such a beautiful tradition, and we've made it ours. And last year, Thomas wrote Peter Pan and Serangoon Gardens, and Joel wrote the lyrics. And there is a new generation, with Wild Rice. We're always looking out. I mean, let us know if you want to write a panto, because Alfian says he's retired, but I don't think we're going to let him retire.
No, Mama Wednesday is my final. I've written 5, and one of them is so difficult. It's really like squeezing blood out of a rock.
Wow, really?
Yes,
You think
writing
so
pantos.
effortless.
No, it's very painful. Okay. On stage, whatever, fun and games, but I swear.
Even when you write a big battle ensues.
That was for you, dedicated to the director. Yes.
I mean, we were quite scared of Alfian, right? Because he used to come in and throw tantrum and says, "I didn't write that. This is not what I wrote." Word perfect. We were.
One must have respect for one's craft.
We do.
Or else nobody will have respect for you. That's the thing. Okay, a few more comments. Oh, this is so sweet. Actually, it's just a comment who says, "You make us all proud of our Singaporean artists and to be Singaporean." Oh, okay. A few more bouquets. Ivan and Glen singing is so good.
Really?
And I wish I expanded a little bit on that. So my ears have been blessed. Yeah. So I'm just wondering. I mean, in addition to please.
Can I just say that the singing was the most. I mean, I was terrified. It traumatized me every night because I had never sung on stage before.
Yeah.
And I was singing a duet with Cheryl Tan, who's an amazing singer.
Right. Yes.
And so actually the first thing I did when I knew we were doing Mama White Snake was I started taking singing lessons from January. Don't forget, our first show was in November. I started taking singing lessons in January. That's how terrified I was. And I did it for every week until opening night. I was that terrified. And for the 30 or so performances that we did, I was terrified. I could never really enjoy it because I was so afraid I couldn't hit those notes.
No, but I think you did such a beautiful job.
I know, thank you, Grace, for saying
comments,
so.
Talking about how their favorite song is exactly that duet you did with Cheryl, which is the
traumatized me.
Right? Yeah, that happens to be. You're not supposed to have favorites, but I think that is my favorite song in the play also. Okay.
Beautiful lyrics. Thank you.
Okay. A question from Glimmer Glow wants to know a little bit about the process. Audience interaction part of pantomimes are so much fun. So do you all actually practice, or is it really improv each time?
Mipti can take this because she is the queen of pantos.
I think it's quite related to what I said earlier. That it's the entire show is scripted, but there are bits where usually the playwright will say, "Okay, audience interaction." Like we ask them a question, and then we just have to open. Like maybe we give just a short while where we just interact with them and just play with them a little bit. So those parts are really full on improvised because we wouldn't know. There are no planted audience members, guys. It's really like we really talk to the ticket people who come and pay ticket and come and talk to us, and they really like it. They like to be teased, but you also have to see some people don't like, some people look a bit lost, then you cannot just harp on them, you must quickly move on to another one. So every night is different because you wouldn't know how everyone is going to react.
Right. Okay. That's wonderful. That's nice to know.
I think that sometimes too, you do a few shows, you kind of get there are a few responses, and then you kind of prepare yourself. But there will always be that one kid who shouts something very inappropriate in a quiet moment, you know what I mean? And then everybody has just react around it.
Yes.
And that's the magic of panto, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And the magic of children audiences. You have no idea what's going to come out from their mouths. You just, whoa. Yeah. Okay, maybe I'll just take this. I got one, which is how long did I take to write the script? And actually, it can take almost a year to just, dream of it, and I also write book and lyrics, right? So for a musical, the book is the script, the lyrics are the lyrics for all the songs. In some musicals, there are separate people who do book and lyrics, but for my pantomime musicals, I do both because I'm a control freak. I wouldn't let someone else do the lyrics. So, and I take very long with those because I want the the songs to rhyme, for example. I'm very hard on myself when it comes to those things. So yeah, it can be quite a punishing writing process. Okay. Let's see now.
I love the opposite of me. The opposite of me is
Ah,
such a,
yes,
it's such a love song. It's so
right.
beautiful.
Yeah, that's what we call the "I Want" song, right?
Yeah,
In a musical. Yeah, that's a point, right? Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Any other final questions, or maybe just a comment? And this someone says the plays are so good, intertwining our local cultures into it, making it easy for younger generations or even us to always find new stuff, new inspiration, and a way to tell the stories. And with that, I think maybe I'll throw all of you one final question, yeah, which is how important do you think for our pentos to be Singaporean?
Very important. Very important.
Okay, yeah, why? And maybe I'll throw this
Uh,
question to Chiwai also. All of you can answer.
What?
Mm,
Okay, I
yeah.
personally feel I agree with Glenn. It's very important because
Mhm.
usually it's taken from like something that's very Western, and
Right.
a lot of these Western plays have been done all over the world, and we are so
Mm.
unique. And usually,
Mm,
what one thing I also enjoy about Pento is because sometimes it's always you touch on what has happened in Singapore over the year. You
yep.
touch back on the little topics or the issues that has happened throughout the year,
Mm.
and then it's
Right.
a so-called like a recollection or walking through the entire year of what has happened in Singapore, and you make
Yeah.
jokes out of it,
It's
and
a
it's
year-end
nice to,
review.
yeah, correct, yeah.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Maybe I ask this of Chiwai also as a set designer who's designed some of the sets for bentos. How important is it for you to incorporate, say, Singaporean images, motifs, idioms inside your set design?
Mm, I think for me it's much more, it's quite interesting in
Hmm.
the sense of incorporate. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it's quite interesting to incorporate local either motif or icon in it.
Hmm.
Um, but actually, in terms of I mean, it's not in this show, but in Monkey Go West, we did
Yep.
incorporate the river cruise boat and the
Ah,
design
right.
into it. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. And also, I think you had Happy Villa as an inspiration as well, right, for your design for Monkey Goes West.
Pardon?
You had Hopper Villa as an inspiration for Monkey
Yes,
Goes
yes,
West.
yes, yes.
Okay.
I
Yes.
just want to say something here about the costumes for Mama Whitesnake.
Yes.
Uh, Sucksit and Pisit from Tube Gallery,
Yeah.
they were very, very inspired, but they felt that they couldn't fight with the authentic Chinese opera costumes because if you saw those costumes earlier, they are so elaborate. And he was like, I'm not going to try and mimic that. So
Right. Right. Right.
what they did was that they took Peranakan motifs,
Mm-hmm.
Peranakan tiles, and they printed it
Right.
into these beautiful dresses for Mama Whitesnake and Auntie Green. And I
Yeah.
think just little details like that, taking a Peranakan motif and making it your own.
Mm-hmm.
That is very much what the Wild Rice pantomime is about. You know,
Right.
it's a
Right.
well-known tale, and then taking it and making it our own. And
Right.
that has always been a Wild Rice trademark. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, there's
I think it
maybe.
just gives everyone a sense of
Yeah.
pride,
Mm,
and belonging.
yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
it's about, because it's nothing. The feeling is beautiful.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm,
you're laughing louder, and because you want to let everybody know, I know that I
right.
see you.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are seen, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say also in my many years as a playwright, there's laughter, but at the same but then there's this thing called the belly laugh.
Mm.
And it's that laugh that comes from somewhere really quite visceral, and that
Mm.
usually comes out when people see a mirror on stage, when people sort of like recognize something which is so familiar to them. So the
Yeah.
belly laugh for me, and there are many. So like in Monkey Goes West, is when Siti as the Malay makcik knocks the door and then complains about the noise. The laughter in the audience, for them realizing, my God, this is a scene straight out from HDB. That,
Yeah.
that is pure belly laughter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes. Okay. So I think we've got that final comment, which I will draw out. Where was that? A Lim, which I think is a nice last word. Let's leave a last word to one of our audience members who says, "We think Mama Whitesnake should become an SG definitive and take the world by storm." So
Oh,
thank you for that.
thank
Thank you for
you.
that. Because, sometimes I think we don't have enough, not us, but there are some people who don't have enough confidence in our so-called local products, right? But I've seen comments, for example, on the YouTube saying that someone in Britain was watching this with a British friend and translating the Singlish and all that, and they both enjoyed it so much, right? So one little bit of advice for artists and writers out there: the particular is also the universal,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And I think there's this quote by Bernard Shaw. Do you know it, Ivan? How does it go?
A man who writes about his time and his place writes for all time and all places, I think.
Beautiful. Thank you
Man,
so
thank you.
much. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
What a lovely way to end this session.
Thank you,
And
Alfian.
thank you. And
Thank you,
as you can
everyone.
see, thank you, everyone. On the banner there's a link to donate to our rise. So if you've been enjoying our offerings, if they've been giving you cheer, joy, and consolation during these rather dark times, if they've given you sparks of light, please consider giving us a donation. I know times are hard for everyone, but every bit helps. And there's an announcement there which says Mama Whitesnake will play until the 7th of June, 11:59 p.m. So please tell your friends, whether they are in Singapore or overseas. Let us share in the joy of this little play that I wrote, which I think
It's
has
not
entertained
little.
many.
It's not little.
Okay. Yes. No, act modest, Asian. Okay. Um, thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for
Thank
those
you.
Thank you.
joining in
Thank
this
you.
broadcast. Thank you. It's a lovely way to
Bye.
spend
Thank you.
the
Good
evening with you.
night.
Thank
Have a good
you. Thank you.
weekend.